Clock is ticking for state workers to get a COVID vaccine or lose their jobs.
The only option left is the single-dose Johnson & Johnson shot, which you would have to get by this Monday to be considered fully vaccinated by October 18th. But today, we're actually learning some state workers previously given religious accommodations have had them suddenly revoked, leaving just days to make a decision about their futures. And Q13 political reporter Brandy Cruz joins us now. And Brandy, you learned that this happened to at least 11 employees in one agency alone.
And so we're wondering, and the question is, has it happened to more? We're trying to work with the Office of Financial Management to figure that out. Unless people come to us and say, yes, this happened to me, we wouldn't have known, but we had an employee who reached out to us about this. And you can imagine the roller coaster of emotions involved in this. First, you find out that you've been granted a religious accommodation and that it's going to allow you to keep your job. And then at the 11th hour, as time is running out, you find out that your accommodation is being revoked.
We know that the state of Washington decided to make religious exemptions to the COVID vaccine as narrow as possible. That was the exact directive from Governor Jay Inslee's general counsel as the mandate took shape. And we've seen that directive in action as hundreds of state employees were ultimately refused religious accommodations, meaning to stay in their jobs, they'd have to get the shot. But one employee with the Department of Fish and Wildlife got a different answer.
I was relieved.
Brad Otto has worked for DFW for 20 years. He agreed to speak with us as a union member of the Washington Association of Fish and Wildlife Professionals. In a September 20th letter, he was told his religious exemption would be accommodated. All he had to do was either work from home or wear a mask and use social distancing. Follow those 3 simple rules and he could keep his job. Well, apparently not. In a follow-up letter sent Wednesday, Brad's religious accommodation was rescinded just days before the final chance to get a COVID vaccine or lose his job. In an email to staff, Deputy Director of Fish and Wildlife Amy Windrop chalked the sudden shift up to a refinement of their previous approach. She acknowledged in the email, "This is a hard decision, and we recognize that this may be late in coming to you."
I feel like I've been almost betrayed in a way that I had this exemption, an accommodation granted, and now it's taken away.
It's still not clear to us what changed at the agency from September 20th, when Brad's accommodation was approved, to September 29th, when it was rescinded. The Office of Financial Management tells us it made no changes during that period to the guidance given to state agencies, leaving Brad to wonder whether they were simply fishing for a reason to cut him loose.
I don't know. It's frustrating, Brandy. It really is. You're going to get almost choked up here a little bit talking about it, but I don't believe it's personal, but you never know. I don't, these are weird times, basically, is what it is. Having to either comply or leave a job you love.
Yeah, so we've been going back with Fish and Wildlife today, and I will say it seems like we're kind of caught in a game of semantics with them, because the letter that they sent to Brad and presumably the other 10 employees that were impacted by this made it sound like there was some new guidance from the Office of Financial Management that led to this abrupt change, but the reality is that there wasn't. It seems like they just changed the way they were interpreting existing guidance. A spokesperson with Fish and Wildlife sent me an email saying a decision was made to no longer accept the inherent risk of a workplace where both staff who are vaccinated and staff who are not need to navigate around each other. And look, at the end of the day, if they decided to change their minds and say, we shouldn't have given these accommodations, then, you know, you also have to realize that giving people 3 working days to then go get a vaccine might be asking a lot. So I don't know if they're going to try to, you know, give them a little more time. Also, one thing I want to know really quickly, and this applies to any state workers out there who are not vaccinated yet, our producer Jessamine McIntyre checked on the supply of J&J vaccines, because that's the only one you can take at this point. And there is no shortage of J&J vaccines across the state. There are far fewer than Moderna or Pfizer, but you should be able to find a J&J vaccine if you decide to get one before Monday.
An option for those who want to get it before the deadline.
Exactly, the only option.
The only option at this point. All right, thanks, Brandy.
Yep.